Hello, thank you for clicking on this video about PreciseFP. The purpose of this video, it's going to be a shorter one today. We are going to walk through how to map to Redtail's new pronouns field, specifically how to create a like field for that pronoun field within PreciseFP, and then actually hop into the integration mapper between Redtail and PreciseFP and map those two together. So when you start gathering pronouns within PreciseFP, you are able to exchange them with Redtail. So for the purposes of today's call, we first want to click on settings, and we're going to make sure we have access to two different domains within the software. The first one is going to be under the application header. We want to make sure that you have access to the data set. Remember, those are the editable PreciseFP profiles. So when we want something to be stored in a PreciseFP profile, we always want to make a place for that within our data set. All right. The other location that we are going to need to have access to is going to be under settings still. It's going to be under integrations. You will need to make sure the Redtail tile is enabled. And when we click on that tile, we should be able to see the open button to open up the integration mapper. If you don't have access to either of those locations, this is something that the administrator of your subscription can give your user access to. Or they might also be able to make these updates on the subscription for you so that you have a pronoun option when you are building out your templates, and you know that when you gather that, you can exchange it with Redtail. So the very first thing that I like to do when I'm creating a new integration mapping is I always like to just go double check that I can reach the field in the integration partner. So in this case, I'm going to open the Redtail mapper. And then I just want to make sure for client and co-client, because we can actually do the same thing for children, for other family members. It's just going to depend on where we create our fields. We will actually get different results that are available from Redtail. So we're going to create the pronoun field for client co-client together today. The first thing that I'm going to do is just click on new field when I am in the client co-client mappings. And I'm going to click on this field dropdown. Now, if you don't know, this field dropdown is always showing you what is available from the integration partner side of things, in this case, Redtail. So we're going to see all of these fields in Redtail for the client and co-client that we could still create a mapping to. We can scroll down, it is alphabetical, or we can just search. But either way, we can reach pronouns. And then the parentheses next to that pronoun title is actually just a note for us in PreciseFP. So when we create our field in PreciseFP, just to make sure Redtail receives that data appropriately, we're actually just going to put a comma after each pronoun. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll actually do that together as well. So if we're seeing pronouns in this dropdown, that is excellent. We want to see that. That means it's available from Redtail and we can create a mapping to it. So before we do anything further here, I'm now going to navigate into the data set. And I am going to create our pronouns field here in the PreciseFP dataset, which in turn will update every single PreciseFP profile within your subscription, as well as any that you create moving forward. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I like to kind of keep things organized. So this is the client details page. The pronoun is going to be for the client or co-client. So this is probably a really good page to put this on. I'm really just going to click on an existing field here within one of my groups on the page. And I'm just going to click one of these arrows to create an empty space for a new element. So I'm going to click to the right. You can click to create a space below as well. Really does not make too big of a difference, just kind of an organizational preference. When I have my empty space, I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Element. And this is going to give me a selection of elements to choose from. We are going to use a text field for this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the text field. If you are ever uncertain about which type of field in PreciseFP to create to map to an integration partner, that is something that PreciseFP support can assist you with. I'll also show you how you can kind of see what type of field you might need to make when we're back in that integration mapper. So for this field's title, remember I've just selected a plain text field. I am just going to call this pronouns. In the description, just because of that little comma note, I'm actually just going to make a note to myself that just says separate by commas. If we do pull this field, if we import from the data set, that description does come into the template field as well. Personally, I'm okay with that because I'd like my client or prospect to also see that description so they know, hey, I should put a comma after each pronoun that I prefer. That's just a formatting so that the data exchanges between platforms successfully. We can also update the maximum amount of characters for a text field. The true maximum is going to be 200, oh, not that many twos. It's going to be 256. You can change that if you want to, you don't have to. I would just recommend for the what is accepted for this field, we do leave it as all characters because we need those commas. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And we now have our pronouns field. If I open up any household profile within PreciseFP, I'm going to see a blank for pronouns. No data in there yet, just haven't requested it, haven't integrated it. So main thing is we have that blank that's created. Now we can hop back into the integration mapper. So I'm going to click on integrations here. I'm going to click on Redtail one more time, and we're going to map these two together. So I'm going to open up the integration mapper. We're still going to stay in client co-client here, and I'm going to add a new field for mapping. So remember, under the field dropdown, this is the Redtail field. We're just going to search for their pronoun field. We're going to click on it so that it's selected for this dropdown. And then your connection dropdown is actually going to show you the applicable PreciseFP profile fields that you can map to. So this is a really good way to also see what type of field you should create within PreciseFP because we always want to match that Redtail field type. So when I click the connection dropdown, immediately the first four options there are all just plain text fields. So that's why I created a text field for the pronoun listing. So I am going to go ahead in this dropdown. We're not going to connect it to, full name, first name. We're actually going to connect it to that pronoun field we just created in our data set. So I'm going to click on pronouns. And then before I save my changes, I'm just noting I'm not adding a default value. The default value would be if it's just something is true for everybody every time we do an integration between the two platforms. In this case, I'd say pronouns are differing per person. So we don't need any sort of default value for this one. I'm going to go ahead and save that change. And we are going to see a new line listed under the client co-client mappings here. This is good. If we did see it highlighted in red text, just a heads up, that is an indicator that there's something actually wrong with the mapping. So if you do see one of your mappings highlighted in red, that just means that one particular mapping is not working right now. There's lots of things that you can do to correct that, but feel free to chat in with support if you do need any assistance there. Okay. So we have created that mapping. So the last thing that I'm going to do is actually test this within PreciseFP and then within Redtail. So we can navigate over to accounts. I'm going to click on all accounts here. And then I have an account in here for myself. I just use kind of pretend information, but very useful for testing, especially things like this, where, we want to kind of test whether a mapping is going to work successfully or not. This is just my pretend data. So if that mapping doesn't work this time, I'm not breaking anything between PreciseFP and Redtail. I can always test again. I'm going to click on that line, and then in this account details panel, I'm going to open up the profile. Right. Let's go ahead and add some pronouns here within PreciseFP. So I've just clicked edit on the profile at the top. And here is our pronouns text field. For this one, biggest thing is we just want to separate by commas. So let's go ahead and just list some pronouns. We'll do she, and then let's do they, for example. We could do comma, add as many more as we needed there. But this is kind of, a more common response of just kind of this or this. So let's go ahead and hit return. So we are saving that entry into the profile. Remember now, if we, want to gather pronouns, we can put that field on our template. As long as that field is just connected right back to the same place in the PreciseFP profile, it is going to save their response to this profile as well. Okay. Now from here, the last thing that we are going to do is we are going to export this record to Redtail, and then we're going to check Redtail to make sure those pronouns appear in the Redtail contact record as well. Now I will note, remember, we created that mapping at the client co-client level. So if you do have a co-client on the profile as well, we could absolutely add pronouns for that co-client as well. I'm just going to use myself here for testing. So let's go ahead, let's click that export button. We're going to select Redtail. And then I've just already done a successful import or export between Redtail and PreciseFP with this particular record. So the two profiles just know to talk to each other. Your other option would be to either search in Redtail to link that PreciseFP profile to an existing Redtail record or export to create a brand new record. So however you'd like to proceed there, we're going to go ahead and hit the export button. We're going to let those mappings go through. They'll tell us if anything is successful or unsuccessful. If anything's unsuccessful, it will, that was really fast. There's not a lot of data in this profile. If anything's unsuccessful, it will also highlight it for us, maybe even give us a suggestion of what to change in the PreciseFP profile before we try to export again. But our export was successful, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And now just over on my other window, I'm going to get Redtail pulled up here, and then we are going to go locate that Darby record we just exported. So now I'm pulling over my Redtail tab here, and we can actually see the Darby record directly above the employment information now has pronouns. Within Redtail, if we want to edit that, that's under basic information. You can see we can add to them by typing a pronoun to add to the list over here on the right, and we can also remove them as well. But just a heads up, when you are putting them into PreciseFP, our field's just slightly different. We would just list them, comma, list another one, comma, and on and on. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this video. If any other questions have come to mind while you have been watching or while you're trying to work through this on your own side, definitely feel free to email support@precisefp.com or between the hours of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, that little green icon in the bottom right-hand corner of PreciseFP is our chat window. If you have any questions come to mind, feel free to send us a message. We'll get back to you. With your permission, we can even hop into your account, take a look at things, and provide you assistance that way as well. So don't be a stranger in that chat, and good luck with your integration mapping.